Guys, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Yavian Johnson and I'm bringing you another video. Okay, so in this video, it's just going to be me giving you a tour of my bookshelf. I already told you guys where I got the bookshelf in the quarantine purchases video, where I explained to you what I've been buying during the quarantine. So basically, I'm going to go over the books that I have. A lot of these books I have not read yet, so I'm not going to give you a synopsis of what the book is. I'm just going to show you the book, tell you where I got them from. So without further ado, if you're interested in knowing what I have on my bookshelf and seeing some new books that you've never seen before, or kind of interested in where I got them from, especially if they look older and I haven't read them or they already look battered and bruised, then just stay tuned and keep on watching. Starting with the first book, and the only book that I've actually read all the way through, is the book by Sienna Mercer, and it's called My Sister the Vampire, and this is the second book of the series called Revamped. I actually read this book before I read the first book, and I got this during a book fair when I was like in middle school slash intermediate school or anything like that. I got this book a long time ago, which is the reason why it's more like a kid book. I end up getting the first book on my Kindle. I don't mind it. I probably would read it again because it was like a short, quick, little fun read. I've had it for a while, so I'm not sure when exactly I got it, but back when I was probably in middle school and we still had book fairs, because I remember I used to like write down all these little things that I wanted to buy from the book fair, but I never bought any of them because I would have to like actually spend my own money, and I didn't have money at that time. So I ended up picking up that book. Okay, so the next category of books I'm going to show you are books that I bought for myself to read while I was in high school. We were assigned to read these books, so I had to buy them. The first book that I was required to buy was by Alan Patton, and it's called Cry Thee Beloved Country. When I was reading the book, I'm a type of person that don't like to be told to read a book, so this book could have been good, but I didn't read it. I annotated it, so I obviously didn't like the book while I was reading it, so which is the reason why I was okay with annotating it. But I'm going to go back and reread it. It's going to probably annoy me that the book has writing in it, but I mean, it's my fault. I shouldn't have, highlighted the book. My next book that I was required to buy was called Fahrenheit 451. Now, I actually like this book. I got most of the way through with this book. I just didn't finish it because you had a lot of assignments due, so I just didn't finish it because I didn't want to at the time. Like, this was the only book that I kind of like read, even though I don't like being told to read. So this is by Ray Bradbury. They actually made a movie adaptation with it. I actually liked this book when I was reading it, so I'm gonna reread it again to see if I like it again. I'm going to keep this book regardless though. I actually bought this for my high school senior year. This is by Cormac McCarthy, and it's The Road. Now, this is an interesting type of writing. Like, a lot of his things were just, I don't know. I don't know if I wasn't the biggest fan of his writing style, or I was just bored because I had to read a book that I didn't choose myself. But I'm going to reread this book. I didn't finish reading the book. I don't know if there's even chapters in this book. Like, I think that this book is like one big chapter. I'm going to reread it to figure out if I like the book. I'll probably like find it more interesting. Most likely going to keep it regardless because I bought the book from Barnes and Nobles and for its regular price, and I'm going to keep it. Okay, so now we're moving on to the category of it was given to me by my mother. All these books were given to me a long time ago. A lot of the pages are weathered, so that's why it looks like kind of yellowish. I also don't know if my mom was the one who vandalized the book or if it was already like this. So the book is by Lois Duncan, and it's called A Gift of Magic. I'm not sure if my mom actually read this book, but I haven't read it yet. So we'll see what it's about. It actually looks like a quick read. It's probably like no more than 200 pages. So I'm going to read this and see how I like it, because I can't give it away anyway. So I might as well just read it. It's probably going to stay on my shelf forever, for eternity. This book is called The Untamed Mind, and it's by Joseph A. Riley. Now, this person actually is related to me. He's my cousin, and he ended up signing it for my mom. when he did his book release back in 2013. A lot of this is just quick short stories, or it's like poems. So I've never read the book all the way through. I'm not sure if my mom gave it to me or if I just end up taking it because I wanted to read it, but I have it. So yeah. The last two books I got from my mom is Just a Summer Romance by Anne M. Martin. And then this one is called Sixth Grade Can Really Kill You by Barth de Clements. Now, I saved this book till I got to sixth grade and I still didn't read it. So I feel like I need to read it now. I'm going to keep the book because it's an old book. It's the pages are weathered, it's yellowing and things like that. I never read this book. I'm going to figure out if I like the book. I mean, even if I don't like it, I'm going to keep it and it's going to be on my shelf forever. Okay, moving on to the more harder reads. This one is called The Dream and the Struggle, Separate but Not Equal by Jim Haskins. And this one is called The Tyranny of Experts, Economists, Dictators, and the Forgotten Rights of the Poor by William Easterly. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to like this book. I feel like I'm going to appreciate the content of the book, but it's not something that I would gravitate to because when I usually read books, I kind of like go to books to escape from reality. I don't really like reading things that I already go through on a daily basis, or things that I already see in the world. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of that, or history that I've already learned. I'm not a fan of historical reads and historical fiction, historical romances, or anything like that. But I will read them since I have it in my bookshelf. I will read it, but it's not a book that I would have actually picked up by myself. Moving on to another category that I'm not the biggest fan of is like self-help books, like just random books that just talks about stuff. Like this one is called Listening is an Act of Love, a celebration of American life from Story Courts Project. Now, this book I ended up getting when I was in college. I didn't pick it up like to buy it, but I went across a table and they were giving away free books. They also gave away this book called Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. I haven't read any of these books, so I'm going to figure out if I like them. It may be a conversational book that makes me like kind of like have eyes open or something like that, but I don't know. I got this actually from church a long time ago when I was probably starting middle school. It was basically for our VBS Bible school, and I ended up getting this at the end, and it's called Your Knight in Shining Armor, Discovering Your Lifelong Love. And this is by P.B. Wilson. The next book that I have in that same category is Fit from Within, 101 Simple Secrets to Change Your Body and Your Life, Starting Today, Lasting Forever. This is by Victoria Moran. All right, so these are some random books. This one right here is a textbook from my high school senior year. This is a conversational book. So that's why I feel like even though I don't like self-help books, I don't like books that are kind of like people, the author actually talking to me, I feel as though I'll be able to deal with some of them because I actually kind of like this book. It's called How to Read Literature Like a Professor, a lively and entertaining guide to reading between the lines. It's by Thomas C. Foster and it's the revised edition. Things like this. I have McGraw-Hill Thesaurus. I actually got this one from my mom. This is the Spanish dictionary, conversational in 20 lessons. I'm still taking Spanish. I took it through high school and I didn't learn anything. I took Spanish 1 through college and I was like, oh, great. And I took Spanish 2 and I was kind of like, what's going on? Okay, so we're going to start beginning the books where I actually got it from my library. It's going to be random books I got from my library and I don't know why I picked them up. This is Spark Notes, Their Eyes Were Watching God, Zora Neale Hurston. I actually watched a movie for this and I read some of the book. Now, some of the book, it's of course supposed to be broken language, supposed to be broken lingo, because it's supposed to kind of like give you the idea of what the people kind of like talked like back then. This other book is called Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare. I don't like Shakespeare. I don't like Shakespeare at all. But maybe I'll like Julius Caesar. I ended up picking this up at the library because they were giving it away. I don't know why I picked it up. And I was like, maybe I would have an English class and they'll ask me to read Julius Caesar and I'll already have it and won't have to spend money for it. But I'm done with my English classes, so I'll never be asked to read Julius Caesar, so I could really give this away. I don't like Shakespeare at all. I don't like his writing. I just don't like it, period. I know that will be kind of hard for some of you guys, especially because some of you guys probably love him, but I just don't like Shakespeare. I never have. Now, this book, it doesn't have a cover, but it's called Princess Sultan's. It's actually called Princess Sultana's Circle by John Sasson. This book is Robert Krass and it's called The Watchmen. This seems like it's going to be an interesting read. I think it's a thriller. I'm not usually a person who reads thrillers, but I do like thrillers. So we'll see if I like this book. Okay, this thing with the barcode, of course, if you see a barcode or anything like that, it's because I got it from my library when they were giving books away. It's called The Glassmaker's Daughter by V. Bryceland. This doesn't seem like it's a series, but if it is, then I'm pretty sure that this is the first book. This book is called Probe. It's by Carol Nelson Douglas. I've never read the book, but it seems like something that will be, I don't know, like when you think of probe, you think like people probing your mind, in my opinion. So I'm not really sure what it's going to be about. I'm interested to know what it's going to be about. I'm going to end up reading it. It is an older book. I could have gotten it from school, but I also could have gotten it from like my mother or something like that. So I'm not really entirely sure where I got it. This book is called Bucking the Sarge by Christopher Paul Curtis. Moving on to my romances, 3 of them I got from my library, and then another one I was given this by my grandmother because she just ended up getting a book from somewhere and she ended up giving it to me because she knows I like to read. This is by Joan Early and it's called Oak Bluffs. I have not read this book. This next book, it's called The Seduction of an English Lady by Kathy Maxwell. I'm not sure if I'm gonna like this book. Now, this is an old book, so it smells like an old book. Like I'm smelling it right now, it smells like an old book. I don't know if I'm gonna like it, but we'll see. The next book is by Georgina Gentry, and it's called To Tease a Texan. I don't know why they cut it out like this, like cut this barcode out for school, but I'm glad that this is the only book that has the barcode cut out like that, because I'm like, why? Now, this book, it's called Only You, a Grayson novel, and it's by Frances Ray. And I'm pretty sure that this is a standalone book as well. I don't know what it's about. I just know that it looks like a romance book because she's hugged up with this dude on this cover, so it has to be. Now, I got this Brain Teasers book. I really was like trying to debate if I wanted to get the Brain Teasers book, but then I ended up deciding, oh yeah, I'm gonna get it. Okay, my second to last category are series, and a lot of them are series that I haven't even got the first 1, 2, 3, or 4 books before the book that I have. So a lot of them are like a book in the series, but I haven't read any of the books in the series. So yeah. Starting off with this book, this is called The Naming, and it's by Alison Krogan or something like that. This is actually the first book, so I'm happy about that. Not sure what it's about, but I'll figure it out. This book is called Mission Earth, an Alien Affair, and this is the 4th book. Haven't read the first 3 books. It's by L. Ron Hubbard, so I'll figure out what that's about as well. This one is by Janet Ivanovich. It's a Stephanie Plum novel, and this one is called High Five. So this is the 5th book in the series. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of books in the series. I ended up getting this from Dollar Tree. This book is called Ascend, and it's by Amanda Hawking. Now, this book actually looks really interesting. It's a trio novel, but this is the 3rd book of the series, so I can't read it until I read the 1st book and the 2nd book of the series. I actually was super surprised I ended up having like 2 of the books out of the series, but none of the books is the 1st book. This is the 2nd book, and then this is the 3rd book of the series. This one is called The Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman, and it's from the His Dark Materials series. And then this one is called The Amber Spyglass. I have absolutely no idea why it's broken like this. I didn't break this. This next book is by Patricia Briggs, and it's called Bone Crossed. Now, this book is probably like the fourth or fifth novel. It's a Mercy Thompson novel. I haven't read the first three, four, however many books is before this book, and this one actually seems super duper interesting. Okay, so there's only three books before this book, but I have the very last book, which isn't a surprise. This book I've actually had for a very long time. I have not read this book. It's by Nancy Farmer, and it's called The Land of the Silver Apples. It's the sequel to The Sea of Trolls. Now, this book was bought for me by my friend. It's called Neil Unlocked. I don't know if it's Neil Unlocked or Unlocked Neil. It's by Lynn Matson. I've never read anything from this author. Now, these books I've actually purchased myself. I got them from Barnes and Nobles. I ended up having a gift card for $25, and they were also having like some books that they had outside that I ended up picking up for like $5 or $5-10, which was the reason why I was able to get these books for so cheap. This one is called Genuine Fraud by E. Lockhart. This one is called The Young World, and it's by Chris Wheats. I'm not sure what his name is, but this is actually the last book of the books that I have. I actually started reading this book, and it seemed like it was going to be interesting, but I only got to the 15th page and I didn't finish it. I was doing like other stuff. I'm going to end up reading it, and yeah. Okay, guys, thank you for making it to the end of my video. I tried not to make this video too long, but I did have to tell you guys the books that I read. That was basically all that I have, all that I bought, all that I was given, all that I accumulated over the years. So I do have a lot of books on my Kindle, so these are not the only books that I've ever read or will ever read. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and most definitely subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.